Mission.
Hi, this is Joel Persinger. I'm the gun guy. Thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate it. Oh my goodness, has the internet gone bonkers about the Peruta versus San Diego case and the fact that the California Department of Justice has had their proposed regulations rejected by the Office of Administrative Law in the state of California. Okay, so a point a little, and the other thing, the magazine ban that is becoming into effect on July 1st. I've seen a couple of videos where people are freaking out about that. I get it. I'm upset about it too. All right, let's take them one at a time. First of all, the magazine ban. Now, I've seen one video that was sent to me by one of my followers or YouTube viewers who was freaking out saying, wow, I just watched this. Are you kidding me? And it was a guy that was talking about them going door to door and taking your magazines. And all right, let's get real, folks. There are 38 million people that live in the state of California, and who knows how many gun owners. They think between 6 and 10 million. How many of those have magazines that might be over 10 rounds? Nobody knows. How many of those are going to comply by removing the magazines out of the state? Nobody knows. The magazines have never been registered. Magazines have never had a serial number on them. There is no record of anybody purchasing them. Nobody knows who's got them. That's the bottom line. And even if they did, the California Department of Justice does not have the money or the resources or the manpower to go door to door taking people's magazines. Furthermore, we have something called the Fourth Amendment, which protects us against unlawful search and seizure. So without a warrant, and they would need probable cause and some proof to get a warrant, they're not going to be banging on your door looking for magazines. Why do you think, as a YouTuber, I have said plainly that I don't have them anymore? I have taken them out of the state because as a person that they can watch my YouTube channel, I would have to be an idiot to sit here in my office or around my house or on the range and wave magazines around at this point that have more than 10 rounds in them. I would be a fool to even have them in my possession or have them in my home because obviously the DOJ can look on YouTube and determine whether they have a suspicion that I have them. So as a semi-public figure, I can't afford to have those in my possession, and that's why I don't. But you, the average person that nobody knows, don't worry about it. I mean, first of all, I would urge you to comply with the law as I always do. I'm not going to urge you to violate the law. I'm just not in the position to be able to do that. That's your choice. But I will tell you that unless you take that thing to the range, or unless you have it in your car, or unless the cops come to your house because of some other thing that's happening in your home and it happens to be out in plain sight, or there's a shooting in your house and they search your house looking for other stuff, they're not going to come across it. I mean, you can, I suppose you could bury them in the yard, put them in a bag and stick them in the attic or whatever for the next 20 years. Nobody would ever know about it. So I wouldn't freak out too much about the idea of law enforcement or the California Department of Justice banging down your door looking for magazines that are standard magazines instead of the neutered ones we're supposed to have here. All right, I'll just say that. Should we be upset about the legal change? Yeah. Is the NRA and I believe the CRPA, and I think there's some other folks involved too, they are working legally trying to put a stay on the implementation of that law, and they're feverishly working at it. It's now sitting in court. We're waiting for the judge to come back and say, yes, I'm going to put a stay on this while it's litigated, or no, it's going to go into effect. Nobody knows. July 1st is the date. I would suspect that the court will have to come back with an answer one way or the other before that, and then we'll know when we know. Until then, we don't know. But I think the freak-out zone is probably a little over the top in that regard. Do I like it? No. Should you like it? No. Should we all be upset about it? Yeah. Should we do whatever we can legally to change it? Yes, absolutely. Should we freak out and hide in our attic or crawl under the bed and worry about the cops banging on our door? Probably not. That would be my take on it. All right. Peruta versus San Diego. That thing was 50-50 whether the Supreme Court was going to take it, and every attorney that knew anything that I've ever heard from said that. It was one of those deals. It was 50% chance that the court would take it. They didn't. Now, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a student of the Supreme Court, so I don't know whether this is normal or not. But I can tell you that in my experience, I have not seen the Supreme Court deny a case and then have a Supreme Court justice or multiple justices who felt that the Supreme Court should have taken the case actually publish a written dissent against the refusal to take the case. Now, obviously, there's always a a winning decision, if you will, and then a dissenting decision written by the justices when a case is settled and it's not 100% unanimous. But as far as the court deciding not to take a case and having somebody write a dissenting opinion and publish it, I don't know if that's normal or not, but I don't remember ever seeing it. And yet Justice Thomas and Justice Gorsuch did exactly that. And I can't help but wonder if what they weren't doing is trying to tee up a better case for down the road and give it just a little bit of extra support, since now on the record in published form are the legal opinions of two United States Supreme Court justices. I don't know how much legal weight that carries, but it's got to carry some. And frankly, I will be surprised if we're not hearing attorneys saying, well, you know, according to what Justice Thomas said and what Justice Gorsuch said in their dissenting opinion when the court decided not to take the Peruta case, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, but I could not help but see that little bit of silver lining in the dark cloud of the fact that the Peruta case was not was denied and is not going to be heard by the Supreme Court. Now, additionally, you should know, if you haven't kept track of it, there are other cases, I think in a couple of instances, maybe even stronger cases that are teed up, ready to go to the Supreme Court at some point in the near future, which will simply bring up the subject one more time and force the court to look at it again. Now, in the meantime, we have Justice Kennedy, who may retire. He's 80 or 81, I think. We have Justice Ginsburg. I doubt she'll retire while there's a Republican president, but she is 84 years old, and while I wish her no harm whatsoever, I don't wish anybody harm. When you're 84, I mean, you know, you're not buying green bananas, okay? Because you don't have a lot of time left, maybe. And I don't know, perhaps she's getting pretty old. If she were to pass away, and no, I'm not wishing her any ill whatsoever. I don't agree with her politically. I don't agree with her on her legal opinions, but I certainly would not wish the woman harm. But if she happened to pass away during Trump's administration, then it gives Donald Trump an opportunity to replace that justice, and perhaps Justice Kennedy, if he decides to retire, with staunch, conservative, constitutional, constructionist-type justices in the mold of Antonin Scalia and Neil Gorsuch. And if he were capable of doing that, then the next case that comes along, there's a very good chance we're going to see some strong support of the Second Amendment. So I'm discouraged on the one hand that they didn't take the Peruta case, but I'm encouraged on the other hand that in the future there may be a much stronger Second Amendment court when the next case comes along. Who knows? But, you know, you got to look for the gold wherever you can find it. And that's the golden nuggets that I can find there, at least. All right. Now, excuse me. Now, California Department of Justice. They submitted their proposed regulations to the California Office of Administrative Law, which summarily, a couple of days ago, well, not summarily, but a couple of days ago, denied them. They rejected them. They said, hey, these are over the top. You've gone beyond what you should have done. You've gone beyond the scope of the law. You've tried to create law rather than just develop regulations to implement the law that was passed by the legislature, and these are rejected. Where does it go now? Okay, well, that's the question mark above my head, and if I can make a question mark. And I don't know the exact answer to that. My understanding is that now that the regulations have been rejected by the OAL, the Office of Administrative Law, that the California Department of Justice can appeal that to the Office of the Governor, and the Governor can make a decision one way or the other, I think. How that works, whether there's an opportunity for public comment, whether there's some appeal beyond that if the Governor decides to implement these and people want to sue the state over it because they are draconian and over the top and beyond what the legislature actually passed, I don't know. If the DOJ does not take that step, what happens then? I don't know, because we're all required by law to submit certain things. If you're going to register your rifle, you got to do it within a specific period of time. You got to do all this stuff within a time frame, and none of the apparatus, registration program, registration software, websites, whatever, none of that stuff exists. And we don't even know really how the regulations are going to be written, so we're still in this sort of gray, foggy area of nothingness where we have no idea what rifles are legal and what rifles are not. That's a difficult place for Californians to be. In the meantime, does law enforcement try to enforce any of these laws even when the time frame comes up? I suspect that they're going to have a tough time doing so if DOJ has not yet approved any regulations by the time the requirement exists. Because we can't be held to a requirement that does not exist. We cannot be held to accomplish something, such as registration, when there is no way to actually carry it out because the state has not met its obligation by creating the system. So where are we with the DOJ and the regs? Boy, it's anybody's guess. I think we're still playing a waiting game. We're waiting to see what the Department of Justice does next. In the meantime, hey, score a victory for the California California Rifle and Pistol Association, the NRA, California Gun Owners of California, rather, et al., in their resistance to these regulations. OAL seems to have agreed and thrown them out. That's where we are. Now, am I a legal expert? No. Am I an attorney? No. Do I know everything about this? No. I'm a firearms instructor and a business owner and a blue-collar working stiff. I'm just trying to sort this stuff out like you. But that's my thinking on it. If you can think of something along those lines and you want to comment on it, please do. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Please keep the swear words out of it. This is a family channel, so we try to keep it family-friendly. If your swear words are in there, the filter will pick it up, and your comment won't show up. And I want to hear what you have to say. So please leave the swear words and F-bombs and foolishness like that. Leave it out of there. You can do that on somebody else's channel, not on this one, but I want to hear what you have to say, because certainly, as far as I'm concerned anyway, your opinion matters. Also, if you would share the video, I'd appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. I'm trying to build a subscriber base. Support us on Patreon, if you would, please. We desperately need the help since the YouTube revenue has dropped so much and never really come back. It's come back a little bit. We do have ads running again, but honestly, about 85% of our revenue went away when YouTube had all their problems and so many of their advertisers bailed on them. So all of your help, any of your help, $1 a month with Patreon is all it costs. And you won't miss the dollar, but it certainly would help us. Thank you again. I hope this helps. As I find out more, learn more, I certainly will do an update and share it with you. In the meantime, have a wonderful week. Don't let this cause you to lose sleep. It's going to work out just fine somehow or the other, even if that means you're moving to Arizona or someplace like that. Believe me, I get it. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week and be safe.